welcome to this week's What's for Dinner video. My name is Ashley. I'm going to be showing you 3 different meals I made this past week. I don't always follow recipes exactly, but if you're interested, I've linked some similar recipes down below. So the first dinner I'm going to be showing you, I made some steak bites with mashed potatoes and some green beans. So I am just starting off with my gold potatoes. These are my favorite potatoes to use for mashed potatoes. I'm just going to dice these up into small pieces and throw them in my pot so that way I can start cooking them. Next, I'm going to work on my steak bites. I am just using 2 pieces of petite sirloin. I'm just going to cut these up into small 1-inch pieces. That way they are nice bite-sized pieces. So I am just going to brown these up, and then I did make a little bit of a garlic butter in a pan, and that will be drizzled on top with the mashed potatoes and the gravy. So next I'm going to work on seasoning these. I'm just drizzling just a tad bit of oil just to coat each piece, and then I'm just going to use some salt, some pepper, and some garlic powder. So I'm just going to toss these all together, make sure everything is nice and coated, and then I'm just going to set them aside and let them come to room temperature. So while we wait, I'm going to work on my green beans. I'm just going to spray a little bit of olive oil spray. I am just using this garlic lover seasoning from Flavor Gods, and then I'm going to use a garlic and herb seasoning. I'm just going to get these all nice and seasoned, that way they are ready to go in the oven. So next I'm going to work on my potatoes because they were nice and cooked. That way everything is kind of done at one time. I'm just going to mash these up. I made a lot of potatoes, that way there were a lot left over. I'm just going to throw some butter in there, a little bit of garlic, some sour cream, and then I just top it off with some salt, some pepper, and garlic powder. So I'm just going to continue mashing these all together, and then of course for my liquid I just use some 2% milk. Don't usually have heavy cream just ready to go for mashed potatoes, so milk just kind of works fine. So once these were all mashed and good to go, I just set them back on the burner on the super low heat. That way everything kind of melts together while I cook the steak. So I just had a little bit of oil heating up on a little higher than medium heat. That way we can get some nice brown on the steak bites. Once they were cooking for a couple minutes on the one side, I'm just going to use my tongs to help flip them. That way they can flip onto the other side, and you can see they kind of got a little bit of brown. So like I said, I just drizzled them with some garlic butter. This is how everything looked when it was done, and then I also made my own chicken gravy. So the next dinner I'm going to show you was my favorite of the week. These are some chicken ranchero tacos. So this recipe had a lot of vegetable cutting and prepping and mixing. So I'm just going to start out with my green bell peppers. I just bought 2, but I ended up using about 1 and like just a little bit of the other one. So I am just going to cut my green bell peppers into some small strips, just like you would do with fajitas. So we only had this for one night, so I didn't want to make too much of leftovers. So next I'm going to work on my yellow onion. I'm just going to take a little piece off the onion, and then I'm also going to cut these into some small strips. I truly get so excited to saute bell peppers and onions together. Like, it is my favorite smell. So I just set that aside, and now I'm working on my corn salsa mixture. I just had about half a can of corn. I just rinsed it, drained it, put it in a bowl, and now I'm going to dice up part of a red onion. So next, for some more flavor and the greenery in that salsa, I'm going to use some cilantro. So I am just going to take a little bunch off the cilantro. I'm going to roll it up. That way it is so much easier to chop. So this salsa is not anything fancy. I just drizzled some lime juice and some salt in it, and then this will be ready to go inside the tacos. So my last prep step is to make the guacamole. When I am just using guacamole for a recipe, I don't do anything crazy. I am just going to mash one avocado, do a little bit of lime juice, some garlic salt, some pepper, and some onion powder, and this is basically my guacamole. So while I was prepping everything, I did have 2 chicken breasts in my Instant Pot cooking up, and then when they were done, I just shredded them. So that will get added to the bell peppers when these are done cooking. So I am just going to lightly season this. I'm just going to use my taco seasoning from Costco and a little bit of salt. I could cook this together every day and never get sick of the smell. So I cooked them until everything was nice and soft, but the bell peppers were not soggy, and then I'm just going to add in all of my shredded chicken. So then to the taco filling, I'm going to add 1 cup of water and 1 teaspoon of chicken bouillon, so that is like chicken broth. I'm going to also use my taco seasoning, some more cumin, and then some onion powder, and then I'm going to use just a little bit of lime juice and top it off with some garlic salt. Your tacos need some flavor, so don't be afraid to season. So I'm just going to toss this all together until most of the liquid is absorbed by the shredded chicken, and then we will be ready to make the tacos. This is how everything looked when it was done. I just topped it with the corn salsa, the guacamole, and then some red salsa. This was so good. This next dinner was my easy meal of the week. I just made some chicken teriyaki with some spicy ramen and pot stickers. So I'm just going to start off with my chicken. I just had 1 chicken breast that I butterflied in half. Now I have 2 pieces, and I'm just going to lightly season both sides. I'm just going to use some salt and some garlic powder. Now for my own homemade teriyaki sauce, I'm just going to use some soy sauce, some hoisin sauce, some honey, and some ginger. I'm just going to mix this all together. Teriyaki sauce is usually pretty thick, so I did not add any water. So I'm just going to get started grilling up my chicken. At the same time, I do have 2 packages of just ramen noodles heating up and boiling, and that way everything will kind of be done at the same time. So I just have my pan on about medium heat, and I'm just going to grill these on both sides till they are nice and brown. I'm also just going to spoon a little bit of the teriyaki sauce on the chicken, that way it can kind of adhere to the chicken, and then we will save the rest to drizzle afterwards. So at this point, I do start cooking my pot stickers, and my ramen noodles are done. So I just reserved a little bit of the water left over. Now I'm going to pour in a little bit of the spicy noodle sauce. I did buy this separately. You can buy that on Amazon. It is the same sauce that comes in the packets, and then the ramen will be done. This is how everything looked when it was done. Just some nice homemade Asian food. We love that. Thank you so much for watching this week's What's for Dinner video. Make sure you come back next week for another one.